All right, so recording has started. So getting back to our previous discussion, we solved a lot of questions and we explained almost everything regarding the functions. Last thing we solved was the prime number, and this was the answer. I wish you've tried it. Now, default value also, we talked about the default value, we took an example. Now we talk about function overloading and two more things, which are function overloading and function templates. All right, so in function overloading, it's very simple idea here. Is to use the same name of the function, all right, but with different type of parameters. For example, we said at the beginning that you cannot give the same name, for example, integer print, not integer void, all right, print of integer x. It's not possible to use the same function name to perform another task because it's already defined. But here in overloading, we can define the same function with the same, almost the same text, same functionality with different types. For example, if I define void print of double x, all right, or void print of string x, all right, all these are possible, but the text, of course, the compiler itself or the program itself will identify the type that you will send to, or the main function will send to the function and decide which one to implement. So here in the example or the explanation, having function with the same name but with different parameters, all right, should perform similar task, i.e. function square. This is an example, square function. So if you have integer square of integer x, return x times x, and here float square of a float x and return x by x, which is square. Here, of course, in the main function, okay, if you define a variable, let's say integer a, okay, and you call integer b equals square of a, that means the program will check the parameters. When it finds an integer, it will call this function. But if we define another variable, let's say float y, all right, and float z equal square the program will check this, find it float, will call the second one. The best way to do it is to implement this in the compiler. So let's here define integer square of integer x. Here to save also the space, just return x times x, right? And also I can define integer, not here, sorry. I can define double or float square of double x, and here also I'll return x times x. See the same function, almost the same function, except that the types has been or the types have been changed. Now here, if I define, for example, integer a equals square of 7, all right, or let's define variable integer a equals 7, all right, integer b equals square of 7. And also I'll define C out. In this case, I want to print B in DL, and also I'll define double X, as we say, Y equals 1.2 and double Z equals square of Y. And I'll print it again. Print or C out Z. Right. So now this example, let's run it first. Okay, so build finished successfully. Let's run it. And here we are. This is what we got. When we passed 7, it took it as an integer. Then 7 times 7 is 4.49. So it executed the first function. When we passed 1.2, it took the double version of the same function and executed the other one. I'll explain to you like this. Now, during the compilation, the program identified that he has, or sorry, not he, it has 2 square functions. Okay, the first one deals with integers, the second one deals with doubles, all right, or double numbers. So it kept this in mind while when we call the function. Now, when we call this function square, it checked what have we passed, or what are the variables. It's supposed to be a, of course, here are the same meaning. Okay, if we pass a, which is of type integer, then it will understand that I want to execute this function. Then in the second part, when I passed y, which is of type double, it decided to execute this function. So this is called function overloading, to have the same function, the same name, the same functionality also, but with different parameters. Let's try another example. I'll just share this with you first. Okay, here I will change it to A. So I'll do it again. All right, and I run it. Okay, so the same result. Now I'll share this with you, and we'll take another example about overloading. All right, let's take another example. Example 2. All right, write a function, or the function print, which can which prints a parameter that is passed from main. Okay, overload this function to work with different types of parameters. What does that mean? That means I'm going to write a function print. Okay, here I'll before this. Okay. I need to define the function print, which prints a parameter. Of course, I'll start with integer x. All right. Since it will not return any value, then its type should be of it should be of type void, right? So print. This is the function. Cout. Just to print, you have passed x. Okay, and end line. That's it. Yeah. Now, in the main function, I will call this function. Of course, I can say print variable integer a equals 7. Then I call it print a. Right? And semicolon. I'll execute it now. Build finished successfully, and then I'll run it. Okay, so this is what we got. You have passed 7. All right. Now, if I change the type here, instead of or I'll define another variable, double b equals 2.34. All right. If I put b instead of a, okay, then let's see what will happen. Okay. Where's the run? Start debugging, Windows. See, it converted it to integer, right? You have passed 2. Why? Because here I passed b, which is 2.34, and b takes integer, so it converted it to an integer. But actually, I don't want to lose or to change the number. I want the number as it is. All right, so I want it. Let me just increase the size a little bit. Okay, I wanted to print 2.43, but actually, when I execute it, what I got is 2. That means it converted the number into an integer. But to solve this issue or to overcome this problem, what I'll do here is to define or to use the same function. Okay. See, the same name, same everything, but here I'll change it to double. All right. Then let's see. Okay, now I'll run it. All right, now you can see that you have passed 2.34. That means it has, or the compiler had the option either to execute this print or the second one. But since I passed 2.34, which means double or b, which means I'm passing double, then it will execute this one. Now, what if I passed character? C equals any character, let's say W. All right, and let's see if we print it. C. Okay. What is this 87? I passed W, but it's printed 87. You know what happened here? Although you have to be aware of this. Well, actually 87 is the ASCII code of W. You know, every character is represented by something called ASCII. This was covered in General Foundation, and I think it's supposed to be covered in General Foundation. Here, the ASCII code of W is 87. So it converted the character that I passed into an integer which holds its ASCII code. Now, how to overcome this? Again, I can take the same equation, but here instead of double, I'll pass char. Sometimes they call it char. All right. Now I suppose that it will print the character that I've sent. So see, I'm using the same function print, the same name, but with different parameters. So let's try it. Okay, and run it. All right, now you can see it's printed W. Now I want you to think about if I define another thing which is string. String s equals OCMT, for example. All right, and then I want to call this, the same function. All right, now here, see the error. Non-instant overloaded function print matches the argument, which is string. Okay, see, actually, the first time it was reasonable to convert between the variables. All right, but in string, it cannot be converted to integer. It cannot be converted to double or to character. That's why we got error here, but we didn't get error earlier. Let's try str or string. Okay, now see the error has been removed. Okay, so why we have error only in this case? Because in the first case I can or I could convert the double into integer, the character into integer, but I cannot convert a string into integer. That's why we got error now in this case only. Now if I execute it, it will work perfectly. All right, so this is what we got. We got the string printed. Now, of course, I have this print. That's why if you notice that cout can print anything, right? Because it's a function that has many overloading. Now, if I pass any other argument which is not declared here, then I will get error. All right, so I will share this with you. Okay. All right. So this is the answer. I think it's very lengthy. Let me just reduce the size. I would use the size of the text, but it's okay. You can copy and paste it in the compilers. All right. So this is the overloading. Now let's see the other type or the other thing, which is the template. The template can work exactly like overloading, but you don't need to write the function more than once. You can write only one function. How to do that? Now, if you notice that in let's say the square example, we wrote several functions like integer square of integer x, and then we say return x times x, correct? And then we define double square of double x, and then return x times x. And if I want to apply it to float, I have to write another one, which is float square of float x, and here also return x times x. If I have more variables like long integer or short integers, it will be the same thing. But here, they found that it is very much easier if I define only one function Okay. See, the difference is only the type, right? Here integer and integer. Here double and double. Here also float and float. So they found that it's much easier, very much easier. Instead of rewriting the same function once again, it's easier to change only the type here. So they defined something called template. In template, it should be written like this: template between these parentheses, okay, class T, or any other name. You can give it other name, but it's a habit here to use the letter T. So class T and then T square of T value. So if I remove all these functions and define only one function, I can write here class template, okay, of class T. Then instead of writing integer, I will write T square of of parentheses. Instead of writing integer again, Tx, okay, and then here I will return x times x. Now, when I send, for example, the variable integer, it will check the value that or the type of this variable is integer. Then it changed t to integer, and at the same time it changed the other t also to integer. If I passed the argument as or the parameter double, then it will change both t and t to double. All right. So let's try it here. See, instead of writing all these things, all what I'll do here is just to write here template of class T. You can give it any name. All right. Then here I will put T of integer of X, and here I will put return X times X. All right, and no need for all other functions, because only one functions will cover all these functions, but we should consider the template. All right, so I'll just give it some space. So in this case, if I want to check these things, of course it won't work with character or string, you know, because it needs numbers. Okay, so here also print s should be moved. Not print, sorry, I'll change the name to square. All right. So if I define an integer x or not x, y equal square what of a. All right, and see out y and line, and also I'll define double, not y, r equals square of y or of b. Okay, and I'll print it also. See out r and end line and semicolon. All right, let's run it and see. All right, so no errors. Start debugging. All right, so if you can see, the first time we got what was the number that we sent? We sent 7. All right, that's why we got 49. And the second time we sent 2 point something, then the square is 5.47, etc. Now you have to be very careful. Let's try to send B, and we expect to get integer. Let's see what will happen if we execute this. All right, so run. We got 5 only, right? Because as I told you, it converts the double or the float numbers into integers. All right, so here instead of 5.47, it gave me only 5. Okay, so you have to be very careful, and this kind of errors are known or these errors are known as logical errors. Logical errors means the program will execute the code that you've written, but will execute it will be having some mistakes in the answers. All right. For example, if I forget, let's say, the semicolon here, the program will never execute unless you put the semicolon. But with logical error, it can be executed, but it will give you a wrong result. All right, so this is the example of the template. I'll share it also with you. All right, so this is the template example. Finally, we have an example now about the function. It's a bit larger than other examples, but it's also, I don't think it's difficult. Write a program that have a function for each arithmetic operation. So I have 4 functions, one for plus, one for minus, one for multiplication, and one for division. The program asks the user to enter 2 integers, and the operation the user wants to apply and print the result. So it's only or returns. It's better to make it and returns. Returns the result. Okay. So in this case, let's think about it like this. I want you, or we want to write a program that has 4 functions. One, for example, called addition of integer x, integer y. All right, and it returns integer. The second one here, return x plus y. It's easy. All right, and I have also integer subtract of integer x, integer y, and here I think also the operation should be here in the example it's written that the program asks the user to enter 2 integers and the operation. All right, so nothing to do with functions. All right, here return x minus y, and also the rest. Here in the main function, integer main, cout, enter first number, cn, of course here integer x, and given any other names to avoid any confusion, a, b, and r. All right, cn a, and the same thing cn b. Of course you write cout, and also cout enter the operation. Okay, if the user enters, for example, star, then it has to go and execute the multiplication. If plus, addition, and so on. So it's very easy just to manage to write the code, and the best way is to do it like this, or to write it in the compiler. All right, so and the main also will be removed. I'll remove everything. Okay, so here I'll define integer, add of integer x, integer y. Also, you don't need to click enter and so on. So just return x plus y and semicolon. Okay, and I repeat the same function. Okay, I want another copy, then we will update it or change it. All right, so add, the second one is subtract, and here return x minus y. The third one is multiplication, return x times y. And the last one is division, returns x divided by y. Okay? Now the main function, I think div is used. Okay. It is a keyword, that's why it was it showed an error. Here, of course, cout, or I want to declare integer n1, n2, and r, and here also character ch. This is for choice, your choice. Okay, so here cout the first number, n1, out, enter the second number, and cn n2, and now you have to enter the operation. Cout enter the operation. It's better, you know, to give the user clues like plus, minus, multiplication, and division. All right, it's not that big that big deal, or is that important, but as a programmer, you need to give the user some clue or some directions of how to use the program. All right, cn. Now we are going to read ch. Okay, that's perfect. So now we prepare the function, we enter the data. Now to take the decision, if ch equals plus, right? What will it do? We will call, or we can write it in one line, but I prefer not to do. Here, r equal add xy. We don't have xy, n1, n2, right? Now, since it's clear now, because if ch is equal to plus, I will call the function add. I will put them in one line to keep the space, right? Here else if, because I have 4 alternatives, then here I will use else if. Else if ch equal minus, then we will call subtract. Okay, again, if it's equal to asterisks, then we will call mul, multiply. Okay, if sorry, else if here. Here else if equals slash, okay, then dvi, don't we added I here, Okay, we will call dvi of n1 n2. That's it. Now, how about the last case? Else cout invalid operation. Why? Because suppose that the user entered any other operation other than this plus, minus, asterisk, and slash, then he will get a message invalid operation. And ENDL, that's it. Now let's try executing it. Well, successful. Start debugging. Enter first number, 48. Enter the second number, 23. Enter the operation. Select any operation you want. Let's select multiplication. All right, we forgot to print R. Okay, here we need to cout the result of, see, I can put here N1, okay, and then I can put the operation OP, not OP, sorry, we select a CH, and then N2, and then equals, and then R, and end line. Okay, let's try running it and see the result. So terminal, just start rebuild it again and run. Okay, so 12, the second number is 34, and the operation is, I'll select plus just now. All right, see what we got. The result of 12 plus 34 equals or is 46. Okay, so I think how to reduce the size. Anyways, I think that the idea is clear now. Of course, if you entered invalid, here I have a problem because else invalid operator. After executing the invalid operator, this operator also will be executed. I mean, this cout also will be executed, and we will got nonsense. Let's try it. I will fix it for you. I don't want to make it very complex program. All right, so let's select any number. If I enter, for example, any operation like add, we got invalid operation, and the result of this is equal to 0. All right, there's a way to remove it using flags, but I don't want to make it very complex now. Okay, we'll do it later. So I'll share this with you, and I'll give you your assignment now. After sharing the where is it? Okay, after sharing the slides with you. Okay, I'll show you the assignment. All right, so your assignment now is the fourth practical assignment. Listen, please, I want you to execute it yourself, and I want the screen sharing or the print screen to be from your computers. Don't take pictures, take screenshots, all right? So the assignment is, first let me assign it to you. All right, so student view. This is the assignment. Write a program that has a function or has the function is prime. We have function named is prime. The function return the word. It returns word yes if the number is prime and the word no if the number is not prime. Use the function in the main function. All right. So I'll just edit. I think it's worth 3 points. Okay. Please try to submit before 3:30. It will be closed by 3:30. Now, it's very much similar to an example that we solved already, so you can use that example. Okay? Very well. So I'll stop recording, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Let me just stop recording.
مستر
Yes.
مستر أنا مداومة وماخذة بريك بس حق وقت الكلاس